Okay, it's 7:07. We're going to call the meeting to order. This item 2 on the agenda is the in-camera session. We'll be going in camera to discuss a legal issue and a personnel issue. So I'll ask everyone to wait outside in the chambers, and we'll summons you back in before.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know, after we go in camera and come back, will there be a question period?
That to me is up to council. If they want a question period, I have no issue with it.
I think there should be. People in the public will. My opinion, there should be. That's my personal opinion.
No, that's not what I'm here. It's an emergency meeting. We have some discussion.
We had a vote on it then? I think there should be. People have a right to question when we come out of
Okay.
every meeting we have, there's a question period. I don't see why this shouldn't be different.
You want to vote? Do so?
Yeah, just ask the question. How would you?
Okay, let's go.
We'll have a question period then. So
Thank you.
we'll need a motion to approve the agenda with the question period.
So
That's
moved.
item 3B.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councillor Boucher, seconded by
Yeah,
Councillor Martel.
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Item 2 on the agenda is the in-camera session.
Motion to go down.
Been moved by Councillor Martel, seconded by Councillor Boucher. Go in camera. Okay, we're calling session back, regular session back. We have a couple of motions that are coming forward. I'd like to start. Mike.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I move that.
Oh, and Mike, Councillor Boucher.
I'm sorry, not very often they work. Thank you, Deputy Warden. I move that Don Marchand be appointed as interim CAO effective immediately for the municipality of Richmond.
Compensation and salary level.
Yeah, the step level 11, step 4.
It's been moved by Councillor Boucher that we appoint Don Marchand as the interim CEO effective immediately with the compensation on salary scale 11, step 4. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Martel. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Question?
No?
No discussion.
Yes, I will be.
Councillor Goyette.
I will be supporting this motion in order to move forward as a municipal council, but I don't agree with the process by which it was done. But I think municipal government has to move forward, and therefore I will vote in favor of appointing an interim CEO, Don Marchand.
Thank you, Councillor Goyette. Warden McLean.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, has Don Marchand been approached with regards to this position?
As far as I know, yes, he has.
As far as you know, yes, he has. Okay.
I have not approached Don Marchand. He doesn't accept. We are appointing him, and if he doesn't accept, we'll appoint someone else.
But Don Marchand has been approached to accept the position as interim CAO.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that the Warden of Council was not made aware of that discussion, nor was part of that discussion, and is finding out that information after he has been approached for the first time tonight.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Contrary minded, motion carried. Mr. Martel,
I move that council.
your mic.
It's on.
Okay.
I move that council authorize the CFO to pay out the prorated vacation pay amount to the former CAO Ken McIntyre and issue a record of employment and cancel long-term disability coverage effective immediately.
Second.
It's been moved by Councillor Martel. We authorize the CFO to pay the prorated vacation pay amount to the former CAO Ken McIntyre and issue a record of employment and cancel the long-term disability coverage immediately. Been seconded by Councillor Boucher. On discussion, Councillor Goyesh.
Yes, since I don't agree with the actual dismissal of the CAO, I cannot support any terms or conditions of payment to former CAO Kent McIntyre.
Thank you. Your mic was on. It's off again there. Okay, Warden McLean.
I would just like to echo the statements made by Councillor Goyesh. I certainly did not agree with the dismissal, and I will not support it on that this motion on that basis as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden McLean. Any more discussion?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Contrary minded? Motion recorded?
Yep.
Motion carried. Councillor Boucher.
I move that the municipal solicitor prepare a termination letter to the former CAO, Kent McIntyre, which would include a choice between a lump sum payment or salary continuation based on the terms of the contract, which states that the municipality may terminate your employment without cause by providing, in lieu of notice, 3 months of salary during the first year of your employment, and an additional 1 month of salary for each year of employment beyond 1 year, to a maximum of 24 months.
It's been moved by Councillor Boucher. We have our municipal solicitor prepare a termination letter to the former CAO, Kent McIntyre, which would include a choice between a lump sum payment or salary continuation based on the terms of the contract, which states the municipality may terminate your employment without cause by providing, in lieu of notice, 3 months of salary during the first year of your employment, and in addition, 1 month of salary for each year of employment beyond 1 year, to a maximum of 24 months. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Martel. On discussion.
Yep.
Warden McLean.
Thank you, Deputy. So, the issue that I have with this motion is that in the statement itself, we are saying that the former CAO was let go without cause. That's my issue.
Okay.
We had a process in place where the major concerns that councillors had were going to be addressed within days of the termination. So the person who could speak to that best no longer has the opportunity to do that.
Could speak to what best?
To the issues that council had and where the concerns were. The concerns were with the spending or the fact that there was an account that was far over budget.
I want to correct you, there was no concerns on account over budget until that evening. There was concerns on not being able to get information on the status of that account. It leads me to believe you knew that that account was over budget before that March 25th meeting. Is that correct?
No, we heard that that account was over budget.
When did we hear that? Because I did not hear that. I did not get any numbers until April the 1st out of that budget.
Yes, April 1st was Monday night. We got the meeting that night. We got it that
You
night.
led me to believe our discussion was because the budget
Sorry.
was
No.
over, a line item was over budget.
Right. So the
Did I
concerns were.
Warden McLean, did I misunderstand that statement?
No,
Okay.
maybe I misspoke at that time. So the concerns were that there was information from the sundry account that was not provided, right?
Concern was,
That there was a request for information on the sundry account that was not provided to council, right?
at what point in time was that the concern that you speak of? April the 1st or March 25th?
There was a motion that was not put through for a release of the sundry account information,
Correct.
okay? So,
Which, we need to say, was not out of order.
okay, whatever. So there was a concern there that there was sundry account information that hadn't been provided to council, right?
I'm going to say, as of March 25th, the concern became more the roadblocks with getting a simple, basic account.
Okay, so there was a
That was more
concern
the concern.
there, there was a concern there
Yes.
for this account, right? Councilors wanted access to the information from that account, okay? So councilors received information to that account at the special meeting on April 1st, the same evening that the former CAO was terminated, right? So that information and what was going on with that, the person who was supposed to be accountable and who was supposed to describe that was not given that opportunity because they were terminated before the actual time was supposed to happen 2 days later. That's my concern.
The process that was stated to me March 25th to acquire this information, which was all new to me, was the audit committee. On April the 1st, it was not an audit committee, and I was provided that information. So the process that was fought so hard for actually was violated when I was given that information on, personally myself, I cannot speak for the other councillors. When I was given that information on April the 1st, here's a method by which I wasn't supposed to get it. I was supposed to get it at the audit committee. So the process that was fought so hard for was violated as far as I was
No,
concerned.
because the point was made that council needed some time to look at this, so that if they had questions 2 nights later, that they were able to do that. So that's why, that was a big reason why that special meeting was called. So that we could get the information prior to the audit committee meeting, so that councillors could take a look at that, and then figure out whatever the questions were related to that account, and ask the CAO for answers, along with invoices from months before, so that, and again, if there were more invoices that people wanted to have identified and brought to the table that night, then that was supposed to happen at the audit committee meeting on Wednesday, last night, okay? That's 2 days after the CAO's contract was terminated. So, tonight we're saying that the CAO's contract was terminated without cause. Had we gone through that meeting and actually found some things and issues with what he had to tell us, if there were some things there that he couldn't answer to, then maybe the discussion tonight is that he was terminated with cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden. Any more discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Contrary minded? Recorded?
Yeah.
Motion carried. Councillor Boucher?
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Motion to have the new interim CAO prepare a draft press release to staff and the public regarding details surrounding the present situation and the municipality path forward.
It's been moved by Councillor Boucher that we have the new interim CAO prepare a draft press release to staff and the public regarding details surrounding the present situation at the municipality of the County of Richmond, and that the municipality's path forward. Is there a seconder?
Second?
Second by Councillor Martel. On discussion. Councillor
Yeah,
Diaz.
you're putting the responsibility on the interim CAO. That draft that's gonna be drawn up, am I gonna be able, or have the opportunity to see exactly what he's gonna release? And who's gonna tell or submit to the new interim CAO what to put in this kind of release? Is there a process whereby the new or the interim CEO is gonna say, well, this is what I'm gonna release on behalf of council? And I have a problem with that. I have to see exactly what the contents are.
Do you wanna make an amendment then? We can prepare prefer that we see this before it does get sent out to staff and public?
Definitely, I'd like to see that before it gets sent out to staff.
So you are moving an amendment to this?
I'm moving an amendment to.
Is there a seconder? Is there a
Yes,
seconder
go
to
ahead.
the amendment? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, we'll vote on the amendment.
Question?
Questions called, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. Now we'll vote on the main motion. It's been moved and seconded. On discussion. This is the main motion, so the motion to have the new interim CAO prepared draft press release to staff and the public regarding details around the present situation.
Yeah,
At the
I
municipality.
made the motion to start.
Yes,
so
it's been moved and
I'll
seconded.
Yeah,
I'll
the
second
amendment.
it.
Moved and seconded. Questions called, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. We have decided we're going to have a bit of a question period. Before the question period starts, I want to make a few comments. And my current comments are in around some of the accusations that have been made on Facebook, and those accusations that have been made against our staff in regards, especially our CFO, in regards to releasing public information or private financial information. What I do want to say about this, some of that statement was correct. The financial information in regards to sundry account was released by staff. I think the finger is pointed at the wrong staff. The first that I heard of a sundry account was the evening of March the 11th, when Councillor Martel was asked a question why he did not second a motion. And his response was that there is no money in the tourism or economic development account, and I'm paraphrasing, so if my words aren't exact, I apologize. He said there was no money, and in the new upcoming year, we're going to be facing some financial hardships. Within seconds, the CAO made a statement that there was money in the account, or in an account. So I asked what account, and I was told the sundry account. I spent the next 7 minutes looking through 18 pages of our expense side, looking on the left-hand side for the word sundry, and could not find it. I then asked CAO, did you check that account today? And he said yes. And I said, is there funds in that account? And he said yes. At that point, he had to me put council kind of in a bad situation, saying that it wasn't factual. We were saying that there was no money in the account. When I returned home after that meeting, I sent an email asking our CAO. It was sent to all council. Kent, you made a statement that there was a sundry account. Could you tell me the budgeted amount? And could you give me an itemized list of what was spent in that account? The emails went on for the next 2 or 3 days. We went into a budget meeting, I believe, that week, and there was a lot of discussion in around the sundry account. We then go into a meeting on March 25th, and after 10 days, I still hadn't gotten a response to that, and there was a lot of pushback. And the first time I did get that was on April the 1st. The thing with this is, I personally can speak for myself, that I heard of the sundry account from our CAO. It was the first time that I heard about it. The comments that are being made accusing our CFO, I believe, are false. We were told by our CAO it was the first time. I had never asked about a sundry account, ever. I'm very disappointed that those are the statements that are being made online, and I really feel apologies should be made to our staff for that. Nonetheless, we'll enter into question period. We'll try to answer what we can for any concerns that the public has.
Hi, I'm Lisa Boudreau. I'm here
Your
representing
mic.
myself.
Your mic.
So I think I speak for a number of people when I say that I am disappointed as well. I have not heard or seen any references to any staff having been accused of anything. I think everything has been kept pretty on board with the fact that we have one fantastic administrator who has been pushed out of the position. And what I understand is that there is no grounds in municipal affairs laws that disables a party of 5 to have 3 for and 2 against a motion. Apparently you are well in your rights to do what you've done. So congratulations. To say that it was for not necessarily to have any grounds is in order to do it, is something that blows my mind, but apparently you're able to do that as well. To say that you can dismiss him based on a contract and pay him his vacation pay and 3 months salary and pro rata for the rest of his time seems a little ridiculous. But apparently you're allowed to do that too, and if you do it, so good for you. Now I'd like to discuss what the costs really are going to be about council's decisions on this and other decisions councils have made in the past. So, based on personnel, for example, if I could be told now exactly what those numbers are that is being offered to Don Marchand as salary, it would be understandable that this is clear and transparent. So how much is number 11 worth and number 4 worth for his salary in dollars and cents?
$123,000.
And what was the pay of the current CAO that's just been dismissed?
$134,000.
So tell me then, because I know you're great with numbers, what is that going to cost a municipality for his dismissal without cause?
I can give you a number, but that number will be based on any litigation. There's a current number, the $134,000, divide that by 3, or take 1/3 of it. It'll be roughly around that. You'll be
Okay.
paid for 4 months.
And
Now, I do not want to be held to that number, because it depends who tells the best story.
what about the cost of litigation? What about the cost of any loss of income in any other way? What about any defamatory costs?
That's why we're saying without cause.
Which means?
Without cause.
Which means?
There's no defamation in that.
Mr. Landry, without cause. What does that mean?
No comments.
So you can't explain to me exactly what that means to us, to the rest of the constituents of Richmond County who don't understand what without cause means. You're saying that you're paying him without cause. Does that mean that you have no responsibility in a liability?
I'm not a lawyer, I can't say that.
And the lawyer can't either.
He's not commenting.
Right. Okay, so I sat here at a meeting. Of course, I was here on the March 11th meeting because I'm actually the one who asked Councillor Martel about whether or not there was money for tourism. He didn't say there was no money for tourism or economic development. He just said there was no money. So my comment is that at that same meeting that evening, when Sundry came up, and at the March 25th meeting when Sundry came up again, I heard lots of comments in this room. And some of them came from you, Brian. Comments to the tone of, if people's antennas aren't going up by now. I heard other people say, and maybe even you as well, this is deja vu. So it very much insinuates that person's integrity and ability and their intentions while they're working. So I believe that this council has inadvertently put the municipality of Richmond and all the taxpayers in a very bad situation for a group of individuals who are manning a budget that is supposed to be so tight that there's no money for $2,000 to send people to Saltscapes or any other bunch of very well-intended requests for funding. It seems to me that you have advertently or inadvertently put this municipality in a very bad financial situation. And it has happened in the past. It's being repetitive. So, yes, you're very much in your right to do what you did. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Any more comments? Michael? Right now, yes, okay.
Michael Beekman from.
No, your mic, just hit one side of the red button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Beekman from West Ayrshire. I'd just like to maybe get a, clarification on part of the Municipal Government Act. So Section 358 of the Government Act states municipalities may be amalgamated, or the whole or of a municipality may be annexed to another upon application to the board by A, the minister, B, a municipality, or C, the greater of 10% or 100 of the electors in the area proposed to be amalgamated or annexed. So can somebody give me a clarification on the C? Is that stating that if the, electors of the municipality of Richmond feel that the board or the municipality, the councillors, in general, are not doing their due diligence or filling their position amicably, that 10% or 100 of the electors in the area can actually annex the board?
I can't say yes or no to that. You mean annex this board, because you spoke of amalgamation as well.
Well, you have two options, I guess. Obviously, we wouldn't look to amalgamate with anybody. There's no other county in their right mind would want to join what we have going on here. So obviously, we would be looking at the annexation of the councillors that we have now. So I just was wondering if I could get clarification on that
Well,
Municipal Government Act, and it's under Section 358.
Yeah, you are within your rights to contact municipal affairs.
Yeah, and we have.
And what have they told you?
This is what they've replied.
Did you read the Section 358, or you
I haven't
read
read
the
it.
reply?
No, I have the Section 358.
But that's what you read, or did you read their reply?
Here's the information that you have requested. It is contained within the Municipal Government Act, and is under 358, amalgamation or annexation. So under 358C clearly states that the greater of 10% or 100 of the electors in the area proposed to be amalgamated or annexed.
I can't really tell you. You're looking to hear me say that, get 100 people together and you can dissolve council. Is that what you want?
Well, it looks.
I really don't know what you can or can't do with that piece of information.
So is that something that you can get clarified?
If that's what you want, maybe, yeah, I've written it down and we can look to get some clarification.
Because obviously if 5 people, no, I retract that, if 3 people can make a huge change in our municipal setup that we had in the course of one night, then obviously the whole community should be able to make a change in the people sitting around this table.
And you can't in October of 2020.
There might not be anything left by October of 2020 if we keep going.
Do you really feel it's that bad?
Yep.
Yes.
Actually, I feel it's worse.
Yes.
I can honestly say as a business owner that if I ran my company the way this municipality has been run in the last 3 years, I would have closed the doors and walked away. I personally feel that if I had any, involvement in the way that our CAO was treated or let go, I would have no problem closing my folder and walking out the door.
So you make the statement, if your business was ran in the way that this was ran,
Yeah,
you would have folded?
correct.
And how are you talking? Financially, or in how people you believe were treated?
I'm gonna have to say both. Financially, because,
So wait now, you're making a statement financially. Do you have more information than I would have as a counselor to be able to state that we are not in the best of the financial condition, or we have not been managed properly? Is that your statement?
no, my statement is reflected upon the statement you gave earlier, saying that it was costing us money to remove this gentleman from the position he held.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so in that statement, in business, if it costs you money and there's no money replacing that, then obviously you're not gonna be in business long.
Correct.
Except for when you take the revenue on the backs of the taxpayers, which is eventually what's going to happen, to replace that money. Fair statement?
Fair statement.
Okay. So that's the answer to the financial side. The answer to the personal side was if I had to conduct business in the same way that it was conducted in this room last week, without a gentleman given the, I guess, the position to even defend himself.
Why would you say he wasn't given the opportunity to defend himself?
Well, I sat here like everybody else tonight and was under the understanding that the coup of three evicted him from his position. It wasn't unanimous. It wasn't even under the
Would it make any difference if it was unanimous?
100%.
So that means the ability for three to make a decision is being questioned right now.
Yes?
5 would be okay.
5 would be unanimous, so obviously there's a reason.
The cost would still be the same,
The cost might be the same.
and it's okay.
I never said it was okay.
You
I
said
said there wouldn't be a
financially,
reason.
you said financially, there's a problem paying to evict this gentleman out of this municipality.
Correct.
And 5 would be okay. You'd be okay with that, but you're not okay with 3 making the decision, so I am led to believe that you were concerned about the 3 that made the decision.
It's not having a problem with the 3 that made the decision. It's having a problem with 3 people that make a decision without the other 2 people knowing about it.
Well, democracy is 50% plus 1 in any of
Correct.
these decisions.
Yeah. I guess a coup is,
And why would you
The
say
same
it's
thing.
a coup?
because obviously it's a coup when 2 people are not even included in the conversation of the events that took place of that evening.
Which 2 people were not involved in the conversation?
Other than acting stupid on that side of the table, I could act stupid on this side of the table, and if I had to do that, I would look back and say,
But 5 people were in the meeting
correct,
that evening.
correct.
So what 2 were not part of the conversation?
I would say the two that voted no would not have been part of the,
The conversation prior to the dismissal?
correct.
I was in that conversation and 5 people were there. 5 counselors were there, so why would you make such a statement?
Because if I'm not mistaken, Jason's comment at the beginning of this session was that he was not aware of the ongoings that was about to take place prior to the dismissal.
Okay, so now you're talking about the appointment of a new interim CAO. That's what I believe his comment.
So again, if we're skipping to that, we're also doing stuff,
Okay, we're talking about the dismissal of the previous CAO.
right?
And you
And now
said
we're
that
talking
you-
about the hiring of a new CAO, correct?
Yes,
So again, everybody around this table is supposed to be representing the county of Richmond as a whole.
correct.
That's not happening.
Why is it not happening?
Well, obviously it's not happening. If I walk in and I find out at the same time that Jason finds out or that James finds out, obviously it's not happening, obviously information is not being shared amongst the table. So if only 3 people,
Okay,
if only 3 counselors
yeah.
know and 2 counselors don't know about what was just about the position that was being requested for Don Marchand to fill, then obviously there's an issue.
The emails that went back and forth, and I was one that sent it after Monday's meeting, asking that we have an emergency meeting to to appoint an interim CAO, to deal with the termination letter, to deal with most of the other legalities that need to happen with the CAO's severance salaries, ROEs, etc. And, which we didn't discuss tonight, we need to move on with our budget preparations. It needs to happen. Those emails went out. I didn't get a response the first day. A meeting happened last night that we weren't coming to. So that meeting should have been specifically for this exactly what happened this evening.
So why would you not attend the meeting last night?
I wasn't available and I had sent my regrets. Initially, I declined it on the 28th of March when we first got.
So, as deputy warden, correct, you felt that your position to invite Don Marchand into a position without even the warden knowing? Really?
I didn't say I felt it was
Well,
my position.
You just said you sent out emails.
I didn't send out
So
emails.
sitting where I'm sitting,
I
it
did
should
not.
be the warden.
No, you are misconstruing what I'm saying. And this is what happens with some of the Facebook comments.
I don't have to.
I stated that an email was sent out on Monday evening or Tuesday morning concerning we need an emergency meeting. And I have no issue sharing those emails with people. It was sent out. This should have been our first order of business, getting these things done. The statement, a new acting CAO, because municipal affairs would be down our throat that we need somebody in place. Because without somebody in place, this council would have to meet to buy toilet paper.
So why do you feel as deputy warden, it was your position, not as the warden being his position? Or did you just take it upon yourself to?
I did not say that I spoke to Don Marchand. Did you get that out of any comments I made?
I got it.
said Don Marchand was spoken to.
Okay, so whether the cat's chasing the mouse or the mouse chasing the cat, we can go around this table all night
That's
long.
two different things.
Maybe so, but at the end of the day, we all know that if Don Marchand was spoken to, let's get real, we're in the county of Richmond. It wasn't a secret. He was told what was going to happen. So at the end of the day, what really flabbergasts me is that we sit around here, we're making decisions about Don, making a letter and sending it off, but yet the man isn't even here to accept or decline the position. So what if Don Marchand declines the position?
Then we appoint a new CAO.
So is
That's
that
all.
something you're gonna take upon, or are you actually gonna involve the warden at this time?
I will tell you what happens. Sometimes we get staff to prepare reports for us. Some people get them before the meeting, some get them at the meeting. It happens all the time. Many of us come into meetings without information. It happens. We need to accept that. If
I don't
somebody
think we need to
else-
accept that, I think we need to correct that.
If somebody else, because when people have a ton of information before meetings, it seems to be a problem for some people that decisions are made before meetings, because that's what you're alluding to. Decision was made before a meeting.
So then that would go back to the same, you're saying that, however, that would go back to the same incident you had with that Sundry account then. You got information prior to the meeting, which definitely affected your,
Prior to the April 1st meeting.
that's right, which
Yes.
affected obviously your outcome or your input.
When I noticed that account was over by, to my knowledge that night, was $40,000+. We find out tonight it's a different number.
Now, just to stop you there for a minute.
That was really upsetting.
If you go back a minute ago, actually probably 10 minutes ago, you asked Jason if he knew there was a number on that account, and Jason said no. And you made it clear that you didn't know about a number, but you knew there was an account, or you found out about an account. Now you're saying you actually knew that there was an account overdrawn over more than $40,000. So how does it 15 minutes ago you didn't know about a number, and now all of a sudden you do? Did that just pop up on your display screen in front of you? Or?
I think the interesting thing is this is recorded.
Yeah.
And you can listen to exactly what I said.
I hope they play it back because you'll.
And my words were that I did not know the number until April 1st. That's exactly what my words were.
I believe
That's the first
I
time.
believe your words were you did not know the account.
I did not know the account as of March the 10th. I found out on March the 11th of such an account. There was allegations made that councillors knew before. I'm speaking for myself, that I did not know about that account. I found out as of March the 11th, 2019. And our CAO is the one that brought it up. as a method to pay for another event.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time. The only thing I would, please recommend is that you get back to me with, or back to,
We will, I'm not going to say I'll be getting back to you, but we'll have an answer for you.
I actually don't expect you to get back to me, but
Yeah,
somebody will.
We'll have somebody get back to you.
Yeah,
on
my
that.
backbone probably will.
Move to adjourn.
Well, no, if there's any more at the gallery, I don't mind them speaking, but
Am I able to speak to the meeting part of that?
if you want to.
Thank you. So just to clarify the way the week sort of rolled out. The meeting was scheduled for Monday, the special meeting was held for Monday. And the items on the agenda were the sundry, the invoices, whether or not the ruling was out of order, and then we were going in camera to deal with the personnel issue. So, we did that, and then there was an email sent on Tuesday to say that we need to get together, and figure out our next move. So, at that point in time, was I necessarily concerned about picking up with business and moving on right away? Wasn't my first thought.
I understand.
So, I don't know if it must have been at some point in time on Tuesday when we were having the audit committee meeting that was scheduled. That was to happen on Wednesday. So, what I had sent off in an email was that we have an audit committee scheduled for Wednesday night. Hopefully we can get some information that people were desperately wanted. And after that, council could get together and figure out what our next move was going to be. Okay? So there wasn't much that had happened, and there was confusion, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody for either being here or not being here last night at the audit committee. Because the way that the whole thing rolled out, there was confusion from the very beginning, and obviously we didn't know if that meeting was going to happen or not, so there's no one to blame for that. So that meeting did not take place, okay? So that leads to Thursday night. So this morning, early this morning, this was my email. I know that we have the CO Committee of the Whole meeting on Monday night, so we will have an in-camera session to develop a course of action moving forward. Personnel, interim CAO. Please contact our solicitor and have him available for Monday night. I can come to the office on Friday at some point to create an agenda for Monday night if that works for you. So I will go to this morning at 10:15 a.m. Good morning. As per section 19.4 of the MGA, the clerk shall call a meeting of the council when required to do so by the mayor or warden, or upon presentation of a written request signed by a majority of our councillors. I have contacted the municipal solicitor, and he is available and scheduled to attend the meeting tonight. Fast forward to 1:38 p.m. I guess, and this is from me to everybody, okay? I guess I have to assume that a written request was presented by a majority of councillors, because my request this morning was to go through the proper process of notification and deal with these issues on Monday night. I have parent-teacher meetings this evening, and section 19.5 of the MGA states, when calling a meeting pursuant to subsection 4, the clerk shall give at least 2 days public notice of the meeting. So, at 1:42 p.m., this was sent to me. Jason, it does state 2 days notice, and in addition to that, in section 19.7, it is noted that a meeting of the council is not an illegal or invalid meeting by reason only of a failure to give notice. Fast forward to 2:08 p.m. So it's an acceptable and this is from me to council and the clerk. So it's an acceptable practice to provide 9 hours notice to the warden on the day of the meeting. Perhaps that's a question for the deputy warden. And the response that I got to that was, Jason, I believe the first, from the deputy warden, Jason, I believe the first ask was Tuesday. It's now Thursday. This needs to be dealt with sooner than later. Tonight is the night for the sake of staff and the public, and MA, which I assume is municipal affairs. So, my issue is that whether I'm the warden or whether I'm not the warden, and whether in people's opinion I'm doing a good job or not doing a good job, I really don't think that it's fair to provide the spokesperson for council, chairperson for council, 9 hours advance notice before an emergency meeting. To go along on the heels of a discussion taking place for an interim CAO, which I find out about tonight after those discussions have already happened, pretty much when a decision has already been made, likely an offer has been made, and I'm finding out about it tonight. So, do I have issues with that? Of course I do. So, when we're sitting around and talking about all of the things that have been happening, and, you know, comments that I have made in the media, and I have made some very, very strong comments in the media lately. I have made very, very strong comments to municipal affairs, who really do not do very much in these situations. Because they, in their response, they're very limited to the things that they can do. So, have I made comments of dysfunction? I absolutely have. Do I stand by my comments of dysfunction? I absolutely do. Thank you.
In the fall, we had decided that meetings would be at 7, and in that discussion as well, we decided the meeting schedule that would come out would not be altered. There was no quorum, there would be no meeting. The meeting got cancelled because there was no quorum, yet you decided to have the meeting. I had to find out by someone sending me a text message for a snapshot that there was going to be an open forum. There was no meeting. There was no quorum. Why did you so choose to have the meeting?
There was no meeting. Did I show up at 7 o'clock here last night? I did. When we got here, there was myself and Councillor Goyesh and the member at large. And there were people here, there were many people here last night. So at that point in time, I thought it would be incumbent upon me to fill them in on what I knew at that point in time. So it was basically, here's where we are, I apologize, but this is where we're at. There was some confusion, and I explained that fully. Was there an actual meeting? No, because when we got here last night, what I said to the folks who were in here last night was that we do not have quorum, therefore there is no meeting, but I will offer you some information as to what I know is going on. So that did happen last night.
Can you share that information with us as well, because I don't know what you spoke of last night.
You probably should have showed up in here.
You want me to actually
If you want, I mean,
recap an hour
personally.
or so last night? Because what it turned into was information about what I just talked about as to, like, we were supposed to have the meeting tonight. Everybody knew that the CAO had been dismissed, so the CAO wasn't going to be here. And then I explained to everybody about the confusion with the cancellation, and I said, it's not normal practice for us, for people to send the warden regrets when they're not coming to a meeting. And people had contacted the clerk and council, so I wasn't aware of that. But I wanted to go ahead and have that, because if councillors really wanted some information, I thought maybe they could get it, okay?
Where was the confusion with whether the meeting was canceled or not? The clerk sent an email out, the meeting is canceled.
Well,
And
but,
then you decided to have the meeting, and
but-
I don't have any issue with that.
okay, but
But
again,
don't come on others for wanting an emergency meeting.
again,
In
it
9
falls
hours.
back on me finding out that the meeting, so, again, the warden finds out that the meeting is canceled without even having any say in that matter.
Well then, you decided to have the meeting. The meeting got canceled, there was no quorum.
Correct.
It's very simple. The warden doesn't decide that, the MGA decided that for us. There was no quorum, meeting got cancelled.
Correct.
I believe the clerk was all in her rights.
I did not
to
say
send
that
an
she
email.
wasn't within her rights, not, you can
Well,
ask
what-
people who were here last night, and the way that I described it, I did not have any disrespect towards anybody when I
Well,
was speaking to that.
what's your issue then? What's the issue?
What do
You
mean?
had, with us giving 9 hours notice, there's an issue with that? I never got no notice that there was gonna be an open public meeting unless,
No.
until somebody texts me.
You had plenty of notice that there was going to be an audit committee meeting last night. That's
No.
what was supposed to happen last night.
I got notice March 28th.
So March 28th,
There was gonna be an audit meeting.
okay, so March 28th
And
to
I sent my regrets at that time.
March 28th to April 3rd is quite a bit of difference in length of time than 9 hours prior to a meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for agreeing with me on that one.
My point is, there was cancellation sent out. The meeting still went on. I got no notice
The meeting,
then.
the audit
Meeting.
committee meeting did not go on.
You said you came here and you had a discussion for an hour.
Yes?
So something went on.
Yeah,
an
and I
information
also
session.
responded to the only actual, when I said, please send regrets if you cannot make it that night, there was Councillor Martel who actually sent regrets before that. So from the time, now, did I get some after that? I think yours came in after that, and I think Councillor Boucher was away.
Yours
I don't
didn't-
have an issue with that.
Mine didn't come into you, I just, through our normal, whether we're going to accept or decline is how I did it. I don't know where they go, I assume they go to the clerk.
Right. So all of those things sort of transpired, and that's what led to some of that confusion. But I wasn't made aware of that, so I wanted to have it
Where
back
was the
on.
confusion? There was no quorum. The email early in the day stated who could not be there.
Yeah,
So what was confusing about that?
because I wanted to put the meeting back on because of the issues that needed to be addressed.
Okay, what don't you understand when there's no quorum? You need to contact those people and say, please come to the meeting. Pick
Okay.
them up, find out why they're not going maybe.
Right.
You didn't do that.
No, just as I was
You wanted the
contacted
meeting
9
on,
hours,
and you had the meeting on,
just as I was contacted 9 hours before tonight.
and that's, it is in the MGA, that the majority can have a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So, the rules were followed.
Again, does that not sound like a coup?
You can come up to the mic if you want to speak. Gina?
Yes, Gina Stanley. My question is for Councillor Martel. Had you spoken to the CAO about the status of the accounts?
About the status of the
Of the
account.
accounts, how much money were in the accounts?
No.
So when you told the Saltsgate people that there was no money, how
Yes.
did you know there was no money?
Well, when I told the people about the Saltscape was that we didn't have, a tourism account. There was no budget, in the economic development account, there was no budget, that's why I said there was no money. I had no idea there was a Sundry account. I mean, yes, probably I had seen it before, but I wasn't aware there was a Sundry account.
Right,
So
but
that's
the
why-
county would have had money to take money from somewhere.
Pardon?
The county would have had money that they could have taken from somewhere, from another account for that, just like they take money from accounts and move it to the Sundry to balance it out,
Could be.
even though the account was
Could
over
be.
budget,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, when Deputy Warden Marchand said, the county is in good financial shape, your automatic answer was, there's no money, right? Without checking to see whether there was money or
That
not.
was my
So
problem.
maybe when the CAO said there is money, I mean, maybe it didn't have to specifically come from the Sundry account, but it could have come from somewhere,
Well-
$2,000.
Well,
The
maybe
point-
I'm not here to debate
Yeah, the
what I
point
said
is,
or what I
the
didn't say.
CIO
You
made a
asked me a question,
statement.
I answered it. I don't wanna keep going back and
Yeah.
forth all night. That's not why I came here tonight. Came here to settle some stuff that we had to do.
Okay, well, this is
And
part
I
of
answered,
settling
and I
that.
answered your question, so I don't wanna keep going back
He
and
did,
forth.
and you can direct the question to me. The CAO
I
brought the
didn't ask you
Sundry,
the question.
but I'm answering, the CAO brought the Sundry account to light, no one else.
He mentioned the Sundry account, I know that,
Okay,
right? So it was over budget, right, with other
no,
things.
we did not know that at that time. The biggest thing, the issue that I had, we had 2 items in the tourism. We had 1 item in economic development. We had decided in April of 2018, it's gonna be very limited money for those 2 accounts.
Why is that?
Council had decided. We were facing some challenges with expenses coming up, some lost revenue, and council needs to make decisions. and that's the job that we do.
So you
And we
wouldn't
can
have been
only
able
do
to
that
find
information.
$2,000, you're telling me?
We could. But
That's all I want to know.
has someone said,
Thank you,
It's
that's good.
$3,500.
as someone said, you know, proper financial management is, we set a budget based on doing things, and if we say we're charging $1 million, I use this example for tennis balls, and $1 million for a tennis court, and $1 million for vehicles, and we decide, we charge you a tax rate based on that, and then we decide to go on trips instead of buying the tennis balls and the tennis court and the vehicles, you guys are gonna be pretty upset. So what we put in a budget, I would expect that we would follow.
I'd just like to have some clarification if I could. This sundry account, I understand that there is a maximum that's supposed to be in the account, 27,000. So just so everyone in the county understands, what is in the sundry account? How much?
27,000 is budgeted.
How much is actually in the sundry account?
Currently, it's anywhere between 62,000 and 69,000.
So I,
That's what was spent on it.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
no.
Yeah.
What is actually in the sundry account now? How much money is in the sundry account?
zero
$62,000?
of expenditures. There is no cash in that account anymore, if you wanna look at it that way. It's a bank account that was $27,000 was put in it out of your tax money, 62,000 was taken out of it. So it is currently in default, if you wanna look at it as a separate bank account.
So Jason, how much is in the sundry account today?
He's correct.
Zero is in the sundry account
No,
today?
Over
no,
budget.
it is negative.
No, I'm not talking about budget, how much came out of the sundry account, how much went in.
62,000.
I'm not talking revenue versus
Okay.
expenditures. What is the balance of the sundry account today?
It's negative. When you
Okay.
say the balance, or do you wanna know what was spent?
No, I wanna know how much money is in the bank account.
Zero. It's in a negative. We overspent that account. That line item is going to show that we budgeted 27,000 of your tax dollars, and we spent $62,000. Now, overall, hopefully, others balance. That's one GL account.
So
If
the
1,000
day,
of them are like that, we're in a problem.
so the meeting that we had, that this whole situation came into light, the CAO, then CAO, told the warden that there was money in sundry.
Yeah.
So there was money in sundry?
Are you asking me to tell you if you lied or didn't lie?
Well, I'm asking you to
I'm
clarify what I understood. What did we all hear that day?
We all heard there was money, and we all heard he checked it on March the 11th.
Okay, was there money on March 11th?
I'm going to tell you this again. We spent $62,000 on an account that the taxpayers put in $27,000. What does that leave?
Does that mean that maybe monies that were slated for other areas that were not used and therefore needed to have a place to go went there, and subsequently they were spoken for and taken out? There could be a million reasons why
Okay,
you might have that. And even if you budget 27,000 for something, does that mean that you never exceed that?
no, it never means that.
What's the norm year by year in the sundry account? Because I know now you know everything about sundry account, so let's discuss sundry account.
I'll have to
Year
ask
by
our,
year.
our CFO, that's definitely been reduced over the years. I can ask him, if he remembers, fine. You wanna answer?
No, I can't speak to prior year numbers.
Yeah,
I can only
okay.
speak to the current
So,
number.
I can look it up, but, it's a number that definitely we've changed over the years. And I was very surprised that night when he said sundry, but it's called other government services / sundry. And it is, as the CAO said, it's in a bigger picture. The one line item is in a bigger group. There might groups. So in that group, the group might not be over. In another group, it may be over. But the whole thing is, it's the roadblocks that were put up to get one simple account.
So now that you have gotten all the information that you
No, we
required,
haven't
and
gotten
you've
all the
asked for, and
information.
you've had a chance to review the account, and so as the chief financial officer, is there any of those expenditures that are questionable? Did any of them not go to the direct benefit of the residents of Richmond County?
Well, I'll ask you this, $10,925 was spent for a project that never happened, was one item.
$500,000 was spent for a tourism project that never happened.
Correct.
Okay, well, 10,000 then, you know, it seems like this council understands those numbers.
That 500 that got spent,
Was not
the
paid back?
councillors that were on that council of the day got a lot of shit for not watching that stuff. We don't want this $10,000 to get to $500,000.
So then are you saying that there was a misappropriation?
Not at all. The
What are you
500
saying then?
The 500,000 wasn't misappropriated. It was spent for a project that never happened.
Did this council actually spend that money?
Well, if the council is the ultimate person of authority, I guess, that will take the blame. Yeah.
So
I
the
guess.
10,000 that's in the sundry account, was it spent for something that did not benefit the county? Was it spent for anything that could have been diverted elsewhere? Was it actually budgeted for an item and it did not get spent? Or was it?
It was not budgeted. We did not budget money for multiple tourism projects that happened.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
And I hope I'm clear. There was unbudgeted money spent.
For tourism projects that you and the rest of the council did not
This
approve.
county did not benefit from that one expenditure I speak of. Now, I don't have the rest of the list. We'll gather more information as time goes on, if this council is able to ask and get information. If they can't, we can't provide you with that information, because I'm all about, you should be able to call in here and get it, and you can't call every day and get 100. You should be able to call and ask for water too, without having to go through FOIPOP. But I was told as a councillor that I had to go through FOIPOP. So that, for me, is an issue.
Okay, so then you're saying that you did terminate Kent McIntyre's contract for cause.
No, I did not say that.
But you're saying that you had good reason to believe that some of the practices that were being used
I
are
did not
possibly
have.
not within the jurisdiction or the mandate of council. You're saying that it's questionable that it did
That's right.
not have proper authority for the spending. So you are saying that Kent McIntyre actually did something inappropriate while he was employed for this council.
Depends what you define as inappropriate. My
Well, what do you see
definition-
as inappropriate? When $10,000 is spent on something that you did not approve, you see that as questionable, for sure.
Questionable. Is it inappropriate?
Is it worth dismissal?
$5 would be worth it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Ellen Pellegato. If the CEO was dismissed without cause, then what was your thinking, the three councillors that voted to dismiss, what was your thinking around why rush the dismissal of the CAO, given that in 2 days there would be a meeting that would probably shed light on a lot of questions that you would have and taxpayers would have? What was the thinking? Just waiting that 2 days more if you thought there was no cause for dismissal?
The interesting thing is I saw you at those meetings. There was a roadblock put up for one simple little thing. So I like to believe I'd be getting all the information. What would make me think that anything would be different than March 25th, than April 1st, than April 2nd, than April 3rd?
Well, because we operate under democracy, that you give people the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you. The democracy was 3-2.
Yeah.
That's how we
Brian,
operate.
I'm sorry, but I'm just tell me what the thinking was. Like, it just seems so irrational, not just to me, but to many people. It just seems irrational that, gosh, there's gonna be a meeting in 2 days' time on a budget. We're gonna be able to sit down and sort through this sundry account and whatnot. Oh, but you know what? Before that happens, let's just get rid of the CAO. It just seems so weird. You know, it doesn't seem like logical thinking to me. Especially since I'm hearing no just cause. Like, say he embezzled a bunch of money or something. Wouldn't you want to wait 2 days and find out for sure what's going on before you make such a decision? And now you have taxpayers at you for such a decision?
We had taxpayers when we didn't make the decision, and we have taxpayers when we make the decision. We're allowed to make the wrong decisions.
So are you saying that that's the best you can come up with in
That's the
answering
best I
that
can come
question?
with. If we are going to be in legal challenges, I need to watch what I say.
Yeah, but that is.
And I believe we all do.
That doesn't have a foundation, like a good foundation. I don't know if the two other councillors would like to chime in on what your thinking was. Why not wait those 2 days so we could find out more information?
And how are we going to find that out? We were going to sit at a meeting and wait for one invoice at a time.
But
why could we not be provided invoices prior to the meeting?
You're assuming that that's how it would roll out. Whereas I think
we had 2 days to go, and we were to ask for invoices that we would only see that night. I don't need to be barraged by 8,000 invoices in one night. I have to be able to sit in the comfort of my home and look at them every now and then.
So you're the one that judges beforehand what actually is going to happen at a budget meeting? You're gonna, you think it's fine to say that only one invoice at a time would be brought?
If I wasn't going to get them prior to the meeting, when was I going to get them? At the meeting?
Well, I think I've made my point, is that it just seems like such a irrational thought process to base such a severe decision on. Thank you.
Well, wait now, that's not the process of basing a decision.
Move to adjourn.
I'll leave one more speak.
Hi, Gina Stanley again. You just mentioned that you thought 5 cents, was it?
Yeah.
Was too much of $5?
No,
$5.
Okay,
we'll go
$5. You
$5.
can post that if you want.
5 cents would be enough too. Inappropriate spending would be too much. So, question for you then is, would you vote to have a councillor removed if there was inappropriate spending? Would you vote in favor of that?
Have a councillor removed?
If there was inappropriate spending.
I would have to have all the information in front of me.
Yeah, if you had all the information.
If I had it,
If you had all the information.
I would give my vote at that time.
Oh, okay, so you're not sure. You just said $5
Oh, I'm
was.
sure, but I don't,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Councillor Gayesh, would you vote in favor of removing a councillor from council if there was inappropriate spending?
To tell you the truth, inappropriate, I think councillors have a responsibility, and fiscal responsibility is one thing. When you say inappropriate spending, $5.
On expense claims, let's say.
On expense claims, I think we have a process whereby you submit your expense claim, and it's followed by signing by the CAO, signing by the deputy warden, chief financial officer, and I think their responsibility is to go through the expenditures, the expenses, and find out if it's appropriate. If they deem that it is inappropriate, they don't get paid. So I don't think it should happen whereby a councillor has inappropriate expenses. If it does occur, I think I'll have to go through the
information?
department, the different department, finance department, talk to the CEO and ask him what happened in this case here, or something wrong.
Okay,
So I don't think it's up to me to dismiss a counselor. I think the proper procedures have been followed. These things shouldn't happen.
okay. Councillor Martel?
I don't want to answer that. Just a back and forth all night long doesn't make any sense.
It's a simple question. Would you vote in favor to remove a councillor if there was inappropriate invoices?
Well, number one,
Expenditures.
Please.
the only way I would look at it, and
You
then I
could
would
just
have
give
to.
me a yes or no if you don't wanna
I would
spend
have,
much
no, I
time
would
on
have
it.
to make a decision based on the information.
Okay. Councillor Boucher,
No comment.
Councillor McLean, or sorry, Warden McLean?
I think that it would be important to take a look at exactly what went on and was there obvious, repeated mistakes, was it a one-off? So I think it would have to be taken on and looked at it on an individual basis. So I think that just saying yes or no to that might be a little bit tough, but if there were habits there and it was something that was, ongoing and created a big problem, then yes, I would.
Okay. A little bit disturbing that some of you were on the fence, but thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
For the last time. Motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn, is there a second? Second it.
Thank you.